How are you?
Hi, Archana. How are you? See you after some time.
Nice to see you. I'm doing
Nice to
good.
see you too.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Aditi, I will take little light today. I've been actually working till now.
Oh my God. Okay. No problem.
Oh,
My company has fired nearly around 5 resources in my team.
Ooh,
So for this quarter, I'm working for all 5.
oh gosh.
you have to tell them,
Good
then
heavens.
give you the salary of those 5 people also. I mean, if they're going to make you work
Now
so
it is,
hard, you're going to have to pay for your hospital bills afterwards. Your insurance should be higher.
yeah.
Tell them you can't do the work of five
They
people.
they just gave him last we got to know that most of them are not getting extension. Usually most of them work as contractors here,
Okay.
so after 1 year they extended, so they did not inform them that they are going to extend or release them.
Oh.
Usually it goes continuously, they keep
Hmm.
renewing it, but
Hmm.
last day we got to know that
Hmm.
few people got fired, and luckily I am still there. But still,
Wow.
it's unlucky to work for everyone. Yeah,
I know.
so
Gosh.
hectic. Yeah.
It's all very unstable now, no? There's so many, lots of
Yeah,
people being fired.
lots of them are having these issues. Yeah. So Walmart has all contractors.
Mm.
So they don't hire full-time employees.
Okay.
So they know every year they want to like fire people,
Mm.
or instead of firing, they don't extend the contracts.
Mm. This is actually very, I don't know, it's very unstable. The whole contract.
Also, I've heard they do this thing. They just tell them that, okay, go, like, they don't give you any time to kind of, it's just like you walk into office one day and they're like, okay, bye bye. You go back. Very, they don't give you time to kind of, wind up or anything or anything. Is that true? Does that happen?
They don't give any time.
Yeah.
They are very
This,
confident that if they don't have a resource, they know how to manage.
That is you.
Not
This is to
me, the
you.
people being here.
No, no. As long as they have people like you who are willing to take on, I don't know
Okay.
if the locals would so easily say, okay, fine, I'll take on the work of. It's always the immigrants who take on the work because
So
they're
it's
more
like
insecure, no?
here layoffs are very common, and people say proudly that I got laid off in my previous org, or I laid off 3 times or 4 times. They don't bother to like hesitate. They are not hesitant to tell about that or talk about it,
Hmm.
and they don't. And everyone take it because it's like they. So in India, it's quite different. Here, it's like for entire quarter we plan the budget, so we have a knowledge of how much budget we have for the entire year.
Hmm.
So based on that budget, we keep resources or we remove them. And it's not based on performance also.
Yeah. Everybody's just become like a desk, disposable. I feel really sad when humans are counted as resources because there's so much
Hmm.
more. It's not, I mean, I don't know of a computer that'll have a bad day or have emotional problems or health risks. But how, I mean, this resource is very delicate. I don't know how they don't see it. Weird world. Anyway, thanks to the grueling corporate life, I have students, so I'm not going to complain. All right. Okay. So today I want to do a little bit of perspective study because I found that in the absence of perspective, or at least an idea of perspective, there are certain things that go off. You're not able to see a few lines when you are observing things in real life, let's say. So, for example, if you are in a street, for us, depth perception comes because we have this double binary vision. But when you have a paper, we have only two dimensions. We have height and we have width. But within that, we have to create an illusion of depth. So always remember that art is all about creating a desirable illusion. So in a sense, it's like magic. So long as you can convince the viewer that something is the way it is, you have succeeded. So to that effort, what we need to do is understand how to flatten the existing world around us in order to be able to see it in two dimensions. Unlike how we normally see it, we don't think twice about, we don't give a thought so much to distances. And within time, you can tell whether something is 10 feet away or 100 feet away, or it's 15 feet tall. We start making those calculations in around us. But when we have to put it down on paper, we need some kind of a scale. We need some kind of angle or direction, sizing, a proportion with which we can comparatively figure out that one is taller, one is shorter, and more or less distances. So I'll do a few exercises in perspective drawing, which are just going to be like learning maths. It's very simple and it's very logical. And the rules are more or less in place for you to grasp the topic. So if there isn't a rule that you have to, it's not like an x plus y equal to z kind of rule, but it's just learning to be able to see it. So I'm going to try to put a lens of perspective drawing on what you see around you, and then you'll start translating what you see in those terms. It's as easy as that, putting a label to stuff around you. So mostly we'll be doing pencil sketching. If required, we'll do a little bit of coloring. If you have, hi Varsha.
Hi, I
Mute
have people
today.
around me, so
Sorry, what happened?
yeah. No, I have people around me, so I've kept my camera off.
Okay. No, not a problem at all. It's okay. Most people have it on. If everyone had it off, then I would have requested somebody to turn on, because I can't talk just to myself. It's very boring.
I know.
All right. So again, we're working with pencil today. Please don't erase any lines, because I want you to have all your lines present. If you have a scale, today we could use a scale. Anything that has a flat edge, we can use today. If you don't have a scale, even like a cardboard with maybe like a box will also be fine, so that we can draw long span lines a little straighter. So here we're going to start off with just understanding a few terms in perspective drawing. Excuse me. Just one second. All right, so to start off, let's just start drawing 3D objects. So I've done this box before, remember that? We start with 2 dots about 2 fingers apart. Visualize the center between these dots and then make a dot above that and below that. So you get somewhat a diamond-like shape. Now join these lines. And you don't really have to be absolutely precise.
Aditi ma'am, sorry, your screen is blurred. I'm not sure if it's only for me.
Yeah, no,
But it's-
let me change the screen actually. Okay, I might just go off. Just give me a second to adjust this thing. Okay, this might be slightly better. Right. So we have this diamond shape. From the bottom, you can pull a line down towards, straight down towards the base of the book. Now, this line cannot be slightly slanted. It has to be absolutely straight in direction. It could be wobbly, but the direction has to be straight. And then on the sides, you will draw slightly shorter lines. And then join the sides. So this is a very mechanical way of drawing 3D. Yes? My prayer.
I think I can't see it. Everyone can't see. I'm not
can't
able to
see it
see
still?
your screen.
No, it's still very blurred. Yeah.
I don't know why it should be so. Can you see my hand clearly?
The lines are not clear. I think it's getting pixelated.
Oh, okay. Let me try with pen. It's pixelated. That's strange.
Yeah, even your hand's not clear. So I think there's some issue with, I don't know if it's the network.
I think it's
Yeah,
the
it's quite pixelated, Aditi. So you can't see the fine lines. Like, like even the edge of the book and the spiral binding and all is looking very pixelated.
Okay. Okay, let me jump out and come back again, I guess. I don't know why this should be the case. One more try. Any better now? Okay, is this any better? Suppose I draw with pen, are you able to see this?
Yeah, this is better.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Hopefully it'll settle down in a bit. Okay, so now this is how we can mechanically draw a box in 3D. But there is something else happening over here with the box. So if I were to extend these lines further, at some point, these lines will converge at infinity. So the place where these converge, and in fact, even this and this. So all the lines on the right will converge at one point, which will be called the vanishing point. Likewise, there will be another vanishing point over here. This is an imaginary point or invisible point where these imaginary lines of perspective go and meet. All these lines are going to meet. So because over here they look parallel, you can even imagine how far the vanishing point is going to be. But they will all go there. If this is how our vision is built. Now, to understand it from the other point where we establish the vanishing points and draw this box, we are going to start off with what's called the horizon line. The horizon line is literally the horizon. And for some reason, I don't understand why, but we see the horizon at our eye level. So wherever you are, the horizon will be at that level for you, as long as you're on the planet. So if you are very close to the ground, your horizon line, if it's plotted on a piece of paper, will be pretty low. And if you're very high up in a multi-story building, your horizon line will be not just high, it'll be very far away. You can see far in the distance. So I'm going to be sharing some pictures afterwards for you to see this really. But till then, just understand these terms. We have horizon line. And then we are going to arbitrarily plot 2 points over here. One is VP1, vanishing point 1. And the other is VP2, vanishing point 2. Now from here, there are invisible lines radiating all over. And between those lines, we draw an object. Now we're going to start with drawing one edge of the object. And I might as well give you this terminology as well. This part is referred to as face. Each of these is an edge. And the points of convergence of all these lines, all the edges together, is an apex. So I will be using these terms: left face, right face, top edge, bottom edge, apex on the top, apex on the right, so on and so forth. So just so you know, This is the face. This entire flat thing is the face. This is the edge, and the point of convergence is an apex. Right, so we are going to draw one vertical line, absolutely vertical line. This is an edge. Okay. Now from the top and bottom of this edge, we are going to use a scale and plot a line to the VP and make this a dotted line. And make it a nice clean dotted line. Don't make it untidy. Then even these practice notes should look beautiful. So then from the bottom as well, all these lines go precisely to VP2. And VP1. So these are invisible lines. That's why they are dotted lines. Now on this edge, in this space, the space between the perspective line on top and perspective line on the bottom, going towards VP2, in this area, I'm going to make another vertical line. This again has to be perpendicular to the horizon line. You can make it anywhere you want. I'm going to make it somewhere here. Now remember, this line is very tricky for some people because you'll end up making the line perpendicular to the perspective line. Don't do that. Plot it from here if you need to. Don't draw it here, but plot it and project it from here and then just draw it in this part. Likewise, also on the left, this line is perpendicular to the horizon line. Now that we have drawn this edge also, edge on the right, edge on the left, edge in the middle, we get the information required to create one face on the right and one face on the left. Okay. Now we need to know how to draw the area on top. So what do we have? We have an apex on the top left and apex on the top right, where two edges meet. Sometimes even three edges or three lines can meet. So from this apex, we will plot another line going to VP2 because we want to have information about the angle we need for a line going towards the right from the left edge line, right? So it's all very logical. We want it on the right. What is the reference point that we have on the right? Vanishing point 2. So I'm not going to extend it all the way because we don't really need to. You have an idea that it's going all the way there. And then with VP1, the same thing on the left. And in fact, you don't even have to draw the whole line. You can just draw the intersection point here. Unless we can't see the intersection point because it's so flat. You just need to know at what point you need to join. It may not be directly behind this apex. It could be a little off, which it is. And you get information for the back of the box. Okay, can you see how accurate and how precise this box has turned out? As compared to the one that we made freehand. Now, also, this is a very dramatic angle for the box. It's almost like a wide angle lens. So there is, when you use a wide angle lens, all perspective is crunched so that you can get a much larger picture in a small frame. So this looks like a picture you would take with a wide angle lens. A wide angle lens literally is wide enough, almost like our peripheral vision, and it captures a good, maybe how much is this? About 90 degrees, 180 degrees of the image. So from side to side. Now this is called a 2-point perspective. Because we have 2 vanishing points. And this is often the this is often used in travel illustration. You'll often have a monument or a building that you will want to draw. And if you draw it just from the front, you will see it as a box. But if you draw it from one corner, you will see it as a 3-dimensional object. You can almost imagine that you have the front of a building on this side, side of a building on this side, and you will have all sorts of decorative stuff on it. Now, also look at how we can see, if this is a building, we can see the top of a building, which means logically, we are also on top of a building, right? So we are not standing at the bottom and then looking at the top of a building. It's not going to happen. Now look at the relationship of where you are and where the horizon line is. So the horizon line is, because it's always at your eye level, your eyes have moved up to maybe a 5-story building. And so the horizon line is there. And then when you look down, you see maybe a 3-story building like this. From those edges of the building, if you draw a vanishing point, this is how the building will look. Now, in reality, you don't get such sharp angles because these vanishing points are really far away, but they are still on the horizon line. Vanishing points are never in air. There is always 2 on the same line, at least. You can't have more than 2 vanishing points for one object on a horizon line also. But these are rules you don't have to remember. These are just things that I am explaining to you. So if you're trying to draw an object and you draw a vanishing point just in midair, it's not going to work. All right, now let's try this exercise once again where we shift our perspective. This is a very high perspective, and then we're going to go from a low perspective. So let's try drawing this again, a 2-point perspective. This time, give yourself a lot of room because we're going to draw an object on top of the horizon line. Mark 2 vanishing points. Mark an edge. This time, you don't have to keep it central. Keep the object a little maybe to the left. So just draw one edge first. And I'm going to use my pencil now because the lines are lighter. From the top and bottom of that edge, we will draw these perspective guidelines. Now the same process. In this area, you will draw another vertical line. Be very careful. These lines can be a little, they can cheat us sometimes. Even I've often made slightly crooked lines. Now you get these two faces. Draw the third line. And then from the other apex to the opposite vanishing point. Now you get the bottom. And all these shapes are suitably distorted to fit the math for these two vanishing points. Now, this looks like a box that has been probably placed on maybe a glass table, and you are sitting underneath the glass table, right? So with respect to the object, your eye line is below the object, right? And it is, therefore, the horizon line is below the object. And that is how you can draw it. Now, suppose the eye line is level. We can always make the edge run across the horizon line also. This whole area between these two vanishing points is available for us. The same process again. Let's see how this box will look. And if you can, if you don't have too many lines, then leave the pencil lines at least closer to the object, even if they don't go all the way to the vanishing point. You can see the direction. And now in this case, none of these apexes need to be filled, right? We don't need a top or bottom. If this were an opaque object, you don't need to make anything more than this. Now, if you're still not sure about how the object looks, at this point, you can use some color pencils, just use some nice dark color, and try and just shade this and see if you can see a box in it. Make one color on one side. Already, can you see this as a 3D object? You don't even have to color in the other side. So this means that we are probably standing on the ground, and this is probably a building. And we are about at this height of the building. So this is maybe just a small single room block. Okay, how are we doing so far? Is everyone with me? Do you have any questions?
So basically, the last one in which we did the color pencil shade. So basically, it's like I'm somewhere I can see the front also. I can see the bottom also of the building.
Yes,
And my eye level is at the building center, somewhere like that.
correct. Correct. So if we were to expand this, now I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. This is also a fun exercise. Just extend this line, the horizon line, further away from vanishing point 1 and establish another point over here, because we are going to now move to this. So we have 1 and 2, and this is 3. Now in this case, try drawing slightly taller edge on the top and make the same lines again. And this time round, don't go all the way to the vanishing point per se, just draw the pertinent edge. It just should be directed towards the vanishing point. Now, if I make this, and I draw, and I guess we could use a scale for this as well. We might as well, since we have it. Because with the scale, you can adjust it to make sure that it is perpendicular to the horizon line. Oops, wrong pen. Now, can you see how shallow the bottom angles are and how steep the top angles are? Does this look like this could be a tall building? So if I just observe this, don't draw this. If I were to draw, oh, actually everyone, all of us can do this. Try this. From the horizon line, just plot out a few lines going into the building. Anyway, I'm going to make doors and windows on this. And this is all thoughtlessly doing it. Huh? We are not paying too much attention to how it is looking. We are working very mathematically. So when you make these radiating lines across the surface, this becomes a nice guideline for us to draw other stuff in it. And what kind of other stuff? So I could draw like a doorway. And then I could draw windows. So I just have to draw faces. I've just drawn 2D faces. Now I want to draw some 3D to it. So I need an edge to the door. How do I get that edge? I plot a line that goes towards vanishing point 1 from all these places. So I can use the same information from this side only at pertinent positions. Just lines radiating outward from here. So these will give me an idea about inside edges. So I get this inside edge. I get this inside edge for my windows. Does this look convincing as a building? It's all just plain logic. So let's say if you want to make a window in this box over here, that's up, high up over here. All the lines that we want to draw, you can get that information, except for the vertical lines. You can get that information from the vanishing point. So I'm going to draw some extra lines. These are lines to draw the verticals. And some lines from the right. So at the point where some of these intersect, I can have a dot and then bring it straight down. I don't need a bottom point for this, as long as I know the angle. I'm bringing this straight down. And from another intersection of the two guidelines, I'm bringing a line straight down. This is how I will create an accurate face within an existing box. Okay, now I'm going to make a hollow inside this. Can you already see that I have these lines? I'm just going to add extra lines from this side, so I know how far I have to go. So in this now, here's the inside edge of that window. And here, of course, I'm going to draw a vertical line. So I get a hollow space inside. All right. Do you want to try this?
Aditi, could you please repeat how you got the inside
How I
of
got the inside?
window? Yes.
This part. So I just drew, let me draw a hollow over here, just a hollow. It's all about, your question is, where do I draw the horizontal lines? The vertical edge I can draw anywhere, one vertical edge, right? So I'll draw one vertical edge. This gives me some position to start with. Because if I just draw radiating guidelines, that might not be enough. Now I have three sides. I have these three guidelines that I've drawn, which will be intersected by three guidelines from, actually just two would be enough, I think, from the other vanishing point. Because I get this one edge, because I get one point of intersection to another point of intersection. I have this, and the third point of intersection will be the vertical line from here. So I don't need to draw another line. And if at all, it's just going to be a line that thrown down perpendicular from the horizon line through this point down to this point. So now I have my edges. This could be an edge of the box or the frame that I made with which I'm going to make the window. Okay, you got that, Amulya? Do you want to try drawing this part?
Yeah, so I'm trying to do it at the, so I'm looking at an object at the horizon line, and I got the window inside, but how do you get like shadows, the inside of the window?
This part of the window.
Yes, yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
Now the inside would be, you know that the inside is going to be visible only in this section,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I need the inside edges,
Right.
right? So from this apex, I plot a line, imaginary line there. So I get the bottom inside edge. And then the top inside edge.
Right.
Now, even this is not enough because I need to then get a point over here, an imaginary point on the inside where this line has to go and attach. And here often people make a mistake and make a horizontal line or the wrong angle. So again, from this point with the
Should it
vanishing
parallel
point,
to
no,
the
it's
top?
not parallel at all. It's actually angular. So you keep the vanishing point as your reference.
Okay.
Imagine the line going from the vanishing point through this point, and it will be visible only over here. So it is technically not parallel because if you look at the two lines, these two, as long as they're a certain vertical distance apart, they are radiating because they're all connected to the vanishing point. So you could make it parallel, it's fine, but you should know that there has to be a slight difference in the angle. And as you go closer to the horizon, the angle starts becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. So acute angles towards the horizon and steeper angles away from the horizon. There. Okay, how about everyone else? Are you getting it?
Yes, Aditi.
Okay, good. All right. So now we've done how to draw various structures with a 2-point perspective. So it's one object seen from 2 points. Now in this, or let's say take this one, if you want to add more buildings, try this. Can you add more buildings along this line going towards the vanishing point? At least add one more. So I'm going to do this with you. The same process. Extend the base. Maybe you can make a slightly shorter building. Or why not? Make a taller building. So we can get it to this side as well. And I want you to see how dramatic the lines become. But you have to just stick with the math. Don't think anything about this. So this is our point. I want the building to be next to the building, the existing building. So I'm going to make the vertical line next to and a little shorter than the line of the existing building. Uh-oh. This is my edge. Please forgive this mistake. My pen slipped. It's a very steep angle. And then you have the edge on one side. That goes behind this building. And then the edge over here, which goes again behind the building. And here now I'm just going to put a shadow so that I can cover up my mistake. The mistake was just an errant line, but that could confuse the viewer. So this is how the buildings will proceed. Are you getting it? Yeah, everyone with me? All right, okay. Now let's proceed to single point perspective or 1 point perspective. As the name suggests, this is when there's just one vanishing point. So how does this look? We have our horizon line. On this, we will have, keep it in the center-ish for now, a single vanishing point. Now this single point perspective, again, all of the single, 2 point, and there's also 3 and 4 point perspective, all depend on where you are standing. So like when we say in English, from your perspective, what do you see? It's literally where you are that determines whether it's a single point, 1 point perspective or 2 point perspective. And you could be in the same place, but if you just shift your eyes, suddenly a single point can become a 2 point perspective. If you choose to draw one object instead of the other that you see on the edge instead of on its face, that could be a 2-point perspective from a single point perspective. Now, how does a 1-point perspective work? Again, from every vanishing point, there are multiple imaginary lines that are radiating outwards. Now we can use some of these lines to create some very interesting features, objects, or scenes. Now, mind you, perspective is visible everywhere, even on a small scale. But because the vanishing points are usually very far away, you tend to not notice that the perspective is in play. But even when you're sitting at your table right now, if you look at the edges of your table, they are probably converging. They're converging from the sides. That's otherwise they would have been going straight. God knows how, but straight. Okay, so now in this case, when we have to draw an object for a single point perspective, there's no other vanishing point, no other reference point. So in this case, every face will have a vertical and horizontal line to start with. So all the verticals are perpendicular, and all horizontals are parallel to the horizon line. So we start off with just a box. And now this box, this has this apex and this apex on the top and bottom, and I have placed this on two vanishing points. Two perspective lines coming from the vanishing point. So this is the area of play for the adjacent edge. And I will just join the sides and I get a 3-dimensional box. So here the difference is that we do not have, in the 2-point perspective, only one aspect was absolutely straight and permanent, which is the vertical line. In a single point perspective, you are looking at an object from its one face side. Therefore, you are going to see it full frontal. So you see its dimensions absolute. So you see it as horizontal or vertical. Okay, let's try this all over now. Anywhere, very randomly, you can just make a square or a rectangle. That's easy to make. You don't even need any reference points till you make that square. Once you've made it though, all the apexes that are pointing towards the vanishing point will need a reference line. And then between those reference lines, you will make the appropriate vertical or horizontal. So in this space, there's no way there's no reason to make a horizontal line. So you'll make a vertical line perpendicular to the base horizon line. And in this case, you will make a line parallel to the horizon line. And then you have the edge line already made because it comes from the vanishing point. It's just there. So you just basically draw it. Let's try another one. Here I already have these two lines, so I'm going to just make a vertical somewhere here. Remember to make these lines very carefully, the vertical and the horizontal lines. This is where a lot of times we mess up, because when there are so many lines being drawn, the optical illusion created is so heavy that you sometimes lose your direction. So best is to keep a scale handy. Can you see my line is about 2-3 degrees off? That can throw your perspective off also. So this is an extreme perspective, and you often see it where you have long lines on one side of the line. So you can see this as a road maybe. Often when we're driving on a straight road, you can see this effect. The road is just traveling towards infinity. One second. Huh?
Is much more relaxed. Otherwise, Tuesdays I was having to cut through and rush to pick up my daughter.
Uh,
Yeah. How are you doing?
good. It's spring here, so good now. The weather.
Yeah, it's getting warmer, no? I actually did this perspective drawing even before, but I realized when we went to Goa and we actually see the 3D object and try to translate that on paper, still, yeah, it was off. My perspective was off.
I was now just wondering, you remember the lunch which we had at Vinate, and you were seeing that perspective. So now I'm
Right.
trying to understand, okay, how those lines converged when we were talking.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Shall we continue?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so when you see things like roads or sometimes even railway tracks, you will notice that something like this happening. And again, depending upon your eye level, you will either see the road over here. So obviously you can see that you're pretty high on the road. But if you're really, really low, then your road will be somewhat like this. This would be your road, and this could be the median. Okay, so how much the perspective spreads for any object depends on your eye line. So in fact, if you go straight up and you see a road, you will actually see the road as a parallel line, two parallel lines. And then as you come from, imagine yourself on the top of a globe, and as you come lower and lower and lower to the ground, this road, instead of being parallel lines like that, starts slowly spreading till it becomes absolutely flat. As you come lower and lower and the horizon line comes lower and lower, right? So if your horizon line is really high and you are over here in a helicopter, your road is going to be two parallel lines. And then as you proceed, as you come down, the illusion is of the road spreading out. The other thing that happens, and something that we have to now do very andaze say, is the fact that as space gets crunched in further away from you, objects also become closer. So imagine a railway track. What you see spread out over here and bigger will become smaller, thinner, and even closer to each other as you proceed. Now, there is a very complicated maths to this, and I have tried to look for a video that would be sensible and easy enough to grasp, so you can plot this also very accurately. But it was such a headache just trying to understand this then I said, okay, I'm just going to tell you to gradually reduce your object, make it smaller. So if you have a fattish line, you make it slightly thinner, gradually going towards the distance, and also reduce the distance between it. And over time, with practice, you will be able to do this very efficiently, so that even if in some places like over here, I think the distance is looking the same objectively, or here, it will look like it is receding into the background. Okay. So this is single point perspective. Now I'm going to share some images on the group, and I want you to make some sketches of these scenes, since we're doing travel this month. Okay. This is like that Venite. Almost exactly the same street. If it weren't for okay, now can you see the single point perspective over here? The road is slightly crooked, but okay, let's look at this one. Now, how do you plot the horizon line when everything is obscured? So one easy way to know where the horizon line is that is the line where all the lines become horizontal. So can you see we have these radiating lines on the wall over here? There's one point where the line is horizontal. Perfectly horizontal. This is your horizon line where all lines flatten. I wonder why nobody's written a nice poem about this. Then you see that most of the vertical lines are vertical. So that factor is easily taken care of, right? And then if you try to take, again, now where do we draw the vanishing point? So for each of these objects, the vanishing point will be where take any of these edges and just extend it, and that will be your vanishing point. So now here, from this edge, most likely it will go somewhere over here. I don't know why this is going here. Okay. Because the vanishing point is much further away. Oh gosh. Okay. So let's try and plot this truly. Where is it going? So it's converging even here. So maybe my eye line is wrong. Oh no, the street is going down. It's going down. So though my level, my horizon line is over here, this is the convergence of our of the two edges. So yeah, we have to just live with this. And these are the different edges now, since none of these buildings are in line and straight. If I plot this, this is the straight line of the building, and the building is crooked. And if I plot a line from this stair, again, it goes over here. So this is our vanishing point. Now, when you're drawing this scene, you will not have to draw all this. You don't have to draw any of this. You just have to learn to see it. And you have to know that there are different angles to different objects. Now, this angle is different. This angle will be shallower. And most of these lines are made very arbitrary, but they are not random. You just see these lines. So like I said at the top of the class was, you're able to see angles because you understand the reason behind them. Okay. Now look at the the pavement also. The bricks closer to us are bigger, and as you go further, those bricks become smaller. But also the lines which are between the bricks are also radiated. So you need to also note those things. And then we have last picture. Now here, let's study the horizon line. Can you see the horizon line is probably somewhere over here? There are some buildings above that also. But this is your eye line and this is the horizon line. And from here, to arrive at the vanishing point, just take any of these edges and draw a straight line. And you should get one single vanishing point. If all the lines are straight. I mean, all the buildings are straight in front of each other. And from there, you get the road, the street lights, and all the other lines that are relevant. This line, I don't know where this is going. Maybe it's here. Maybe this is how it is. So at any rate, when we are drawing this, most cities are pretty chaotic. So you often will not have buildings which are pretty like straight in front of each other, unless it's like a German concentration camp or something, where they're, or socialist government, where they will measure and keep things very straight. And they're not really looking at aesthetic beauty so much as just putting things or just blocks together. In that case, you will definitely get a straight column going towards the vanishing point. But in most cityscapes, you will find that the lines are 19 piece, and that is perfectly fine. But what you will not find is that in your radiating perspective, in your radiating vanishing point, when the lines are suddenly becoming shallower, one line is suddenly acute, obtuse. You can't have that. So everything is steadily moving to very steep angles or shallow angles. And the vanishing point could be variable in a real setting. But you more or less get a sense of the angles. Okay, so what I want you to do is make a small sketch of any one of these pictures where I want you to mark these lines. Now, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to let you all do this. And I'll leave these, my pages open so you can use this for reference. Isha, don't erase so much. In fact, just throw that eraser out. If it's in front of you, you will be tempted to erase. When you think that it's not around, you will be a little more careful. And that's what we want, because otherwise you'll be ruining your page.
Aditi ma'am, so the picture which has cathedral, this, I think the second picture.
Yeah.
Is it like we just see one vanishing point? Like I have a straight line and then, I can see the lines converging on that, like the start of the picture, they are converging around.
Mhm.
but I don't see from here this side. So basically, is it like I'm just trying to understand. Is it like it's on the left if I draw a straight line, and then probably if I draw some lines which are converging, then I will be able to depict this one.
You should be. So just look at the angles that you have to make the line, the buildings at, because very often the vanishing point could be outside of the frame of the picture.
That's how I look. Okay.
It may not be within the frame. Otherwise, it will be very acute, very steep. The picture starts becoming very dramatic.
Aditi, could you share the pictures with me?
Oh, I'm so
not
sorry.
on that.
Yeah.
I'm not in that group. Yes.
And this scene, notice how The balconies that are projecting outward are all just horizontal lines. The edges of the balconies are at the line that goes to the vanishing point. Now, here's something that you might not see and it might get confusing. We're not seeing this edge of the building at all, this face. This is where the horizontal line will come in. Part of that representation is in the edges of the balcony. And then as far as the pavement is concerned, you have these very clear, almost mirror-like tiles. And these lines are also more or less horizontal. I don't know why they're tilting so much. And they come closer as you go further. Okay, I'll show you my picture from Fontanas. Yeah. This is the almost similar image from outside Venite. A less steep angle. But now can you see, because we were on the first floor, this is our horizon line. But this fellow is on the ground floor, this is their horizon. Ground floor as in on the ground. How's it going?
Aditi ma'am, I'm just sharing my picture on the group.
Okay, let me check Archana's. Archana, don't draw these vanishing lines with the scale now.
Mhm.
Draw them freehand if you can.
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
I
What do
think
you
with
think
the-
about?
Yeah, I mean, with the lines, it's a bit easy to understand now, okay, how it's,
Right.
how they are tilting basically and why they are tilting.
Correct. You can, however, make these even longer. Huh? So in this can go even longer.
Ah, yes,
Because can
yes.
you see this is a very shallow angle? It's actually very steep.
Yeah, yeah. Ideally, it should be
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. So what I want to ask is, do you all now see these lines in a picture? That is more important, because initially we'll end up not even seeing these lines. We don't see an object in terms of lines at all, lines or shadow or color. So this is one important part of seeing objects in a large scale. Objects that are scaled bigger than us will often be seen with very sharp perspective. Objects that are smaller than us, the perspective is not as I guess potent. It's there, but you might not always notice it. But again, look at your table now, the desk at which you're working. Look at the room around you. Like, even if you look at my frame, from wherever you are, there are some angles at work. There is some kind of convergence, there is an edge, there's a face, there's an apex, there's like right above my head over here, there's an apex of 3 edges coming together, 1, 2, and 3. And then if I were to extend these lines, they would go to a vanishing point. Now, if I take this even lower, there will be a line that runs from behind me underneath, and that will go out to another vanishing point. So now you'll start noticing all these around you. So for the rest of the week, what I want you to do, because I'm going to have to end class in another 2 minutes, is I want you to, whenever you're out somewhere or even when you're looking out of your window, try and click pictures with perspective, a single point or 2-point perspective in mind. So click a picture from the edge of a building on a corner when you are at the opposite corner, and see how you see 2 sides of a building or a block or 2 roads that are going around it. That becomes your 2-point perspective because you are focusing on the edge. And then go and stand right in front of that building and then try and click a picture of just the face. So you might see horizontal and vertical lines on the face, but if you look at, say, the windows, or if it's got balconies, because it's a slightly smaller thing, it will have vanishing point lines. So it might be very tiny, but they'll be there. So try and click these pictures, come back home and try to sketch them. And there is, in the Friday batch, there's this wonderful lady, Devashri Katsre, who is actually Milind Moik's cousin. She has art in her background. She has clicked some fantastic pictures. All these are ready perspective. So I'm going to share those also with you. So you get an idea of how to look at just scenes around us. That way you will start building up your own bank of reference images. That's one thing. And also you'll start getting used to seeing your neighborhood as a potential illustration. And then when you extend that further, every neighborhood that you find yourself in, you are then looking for a potential illustration through that. All right. Okay, so I guess that's it for today. Please share your images, and if you click any pictures, please share them on the group so we can kind of cross use them. And while practicing, if you have any questions, really just put them on the group. I prefer to answer it in the group because often these questions help other people also evaluate their learning. If you send it just to me privately, it's not necessary. And don't be embarrassed about asking questions. The one who questions the most is the best. I'm going to start saying that. And erasers are for losers. That is, so this is what we do in our children's class. They're going to make a poster of this. Most questions is for the best and erasers are losers. Erasers are for losers. Okay, all right. I'll see you all next weekend then. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye-bye.